Now my thermostat is going. So I went to Napa and I got a new thermostat. It's right here. That's the new thermostat with the seal. And I'm gonna show you, well, I'm gonna try to take a few shortcuts to get this out, because I've seen some people do it and they took apart everything. I think I could do it without doing that. If you look, the thermostat is right here behind that. So I'm gonna just remove this for now and see if I can get to it. So I unscrewed this and I unscrewed this. I'm gonna unplug this sensor just for safety. You don't want to create more problems and then end up spending more money than you have to. The whole point of this is to save yourself money. Take apart these clips on here. It comes out on an angle. All right, I'll be right back with y'all. So I don't know about your car, but my car, it's an 8mm socket to get off the intake holes on there. You can use a flathead screwdriver too, but I like the socket better. And this is a thermostat right here. I'm tapping on it. That's the housing. The thermostat's in there. What they recommend is that you take out this whole air box, remove the battery, you take all this shit off, take this off. But I think I could just get to it right here. It's an 8mm on this as well. There's only 2 bolts, one here and one on the other side. You unbolt it and you pull it out. You're supposed to drain the coolant, but I'm feeling this hose, the car is cold. There's really no coolant in his line. If anything, some will leak out onto the floor. I'll just refill it back up to where it's supposed to be. I really don't want to drain the whole system right now. All right, guys, check it out. I just pulled it off. Look in there. Yeah, obviously, I don't want to drain the coolant, right? Because I just changed the radiator a few months ago. So the coolant ain't that dirty, right? But if your coolant has never been changed, go ahead and drain that coolant. Put new coolant in this motherfucker. I'm not trying to do that. Took this off, nothing even leaked. There's no coolant in this line. Now I'm gonna pull that thermostat out, inspect it, compare it against the new one, put the seal on it, put the new one back in. So it just slides out, new one slides in, and then put the bolts back. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this just so I can see more of what's going on here. I think I might have to remove something else because the thermostat is not really coming out. It's not even budging. So I gotta see, maybe I haven't taken everything apart yet. So to remove this, you gotta take off the oil cap and then you just pop this up slightly. Don't use too much force because you might crack it. So it just pops up like that. And pull up on a plastic only, just the plastic. Okay, now it's ready to come off. Make sure you don't get dirt in there as you pull this off. It's like a weird design that they did this with, but put this thing on as soon as possible. Okay. So it has one on the front, one on the left, and one on the right. Now it's ready to come out. Put that there like that. Get a better look at this housing. So what I'm seeing is now the thermostat should just come right out. There's nothing else holding it. So let me try it again. Let me try to pull it again. As you can see, I had to pry it out with this flathead. I had to pry out the thermostat because it was lodged and it was stuck a little bit. So yes, it's gonna be stuck. You're gonna have to either get some vice grips on it or get like a flathead on it and use some leverage to pry it out. So now it's out. Okay, man. Yep, you see that? The coolant is right there, ready to pour out. So now all I gotta do is switch them. I like to compare the two though first. Old and new. This new one's a little different. Shit better not give me trouble, man. Napa, you better have sold me the right shit. All the dimensions look the same. Yeah, the dimensions look the same. It's just a little slight different design. Hopefully that don't mean trouble. What I'm gonna do is put it right back in the same way that the other one was in there. So it was kind of like at an angle like this. So I'm gonna slide it in the same exact way. All right. Okay. Thermostat is in. Seal is in. Like a kiss from a rose. Let's see. Oh, fuck. There we go. Line that shit back up. Put the bolt back in. And we done. All right, so I put everything back together. Just gotta reconnect the sensors and put the clips back on the intake. I'm gonna start it and check for leaks. But that's the easiest thermostat I ever did. Oh yeah, the starter is also right there. That's another easy one. The starter's sitting right there. If you're looking to see where the starter is. All right, I'm gonna start it. Now I won't really know if the problem's fixed until the car warms up. So right now, while I wait for the car to warm up, I'm gonna check for leaks. That's the only thing I can do right now. So far, so good, no leaks. Well, we'll see when the car warms up if the problem's fixed. This thing was overheating because the thermostat wasn't opening. And then also the AC system, the heating system wasn't working either. But this dial usually sits right in the middle. It was like right there. So that's how I figured out the thermostat wasn't opening. And also because when I put the heat on, hot air wasn't coming through. And then finally when it would open, sometimes it was like intermittent. Then the air would get warm in here. And then the temperature would go back down. So we'll see once this heats up, we'll see if it's fixed. All right guys, one thing I forgot to tell you was to check the coolant level if you weren't gonna drain it. My coolant is empty. So I gotta refill it with the proper coolant. My shit is bone dry, yo. I gotta refill it and I have to bleed the system. Bleed the air out. Since I opened it up, there's probably air in it. So I'm gonna start it with the cap off. Let it warm up. Rev it up a little bit. Then I'll put the cap on, let it build pressure. And then turn it off. And I'm gonna slowly open the cap again and let out some of that air. All right, so I thought I was gonna have to go buy another one, but I think, nah, I'm gonna go get another one. I gotta go to the auto parts store. All right, I'm gonna go get another one and then I'm gonna continue the video. And it tells you right here what type of coolant it takes. 50/50 Motorcraft Special Orange Engine Coolant. As you can see, that's what I have here. It's orange. May not be the Motorcraft shit, but it's pretty much the same thing. Alright guys, I got more antifreeze and I'm here making a mess. Shit. Yeah, I made a fucking mess, yo. But this thing was actually pretty empty. So I gotta fill it back up to where it's supposed to be at. It was pretty empty, and not only was it empty, but it had a lot of air in it. So who knows, maybe that bad thermostat wasn't really a bad thermostat. Maybe when they worked on a fucking car, they never refilled the coolant, and it was just enough to not trigger the low coolant light. Who even knows if fucking Ford has a low coolant light? I didn't bring a rag, so I can't even clean that up. I'm at AutoZone still. I just literally just got the new bottle. It's obviously not going to build any pressure. The cap's off, but I want to get some of that air out of there, and I want to check for the leaks again. I don't see any leaks though. So the symptoms before, the fan was constantly running. Even when the car was like cold, warming up, there was no heat. So I figured something's wrong with the cooling system. I forgot to check the coolant level. That's the first thing you check, is the coolant level. I forgot to check that. I just jumped over that because also there was no heat inside the car. It's another sign that, you know, something's wrong with the coolant. So what I did was I tested the thermostat, and the thermostat was acting up, probably because there's no fluid in here. So anyway, I got a new thermostat in here, and the heat's working now, and the car's not overheating anymore. The fans are not even, actually, yeah, one fan is running. Before, both fans were running on high. Right now, only one fan is running, so that's kind of normal again. Okay, both fans are on, but the car is already warmed up, so that makes sense. So you want to bleed out the air in the system. You want to put the air on high, all the way up. You want to put all the heat up. Put the fan all the way up, so it's blowing as hard as it can. I do it for the front system, and I have a back system too. And then you kind of want to give it some gas too, a little bit. See, when I do that, I feel a lot of heat coming through. I feel a lot of heat coming through when I do that. Instantly. The water pump's circulating the coolant. So you want to do this, you know, for about a minute or two. And then just let it idle for a little bit with the cap off of the coolant reservoir. When you take your foot off the gas pedal, you want to do it slowly and gradually. And then when you feel satisfied that the system has no more air, which should be just, you know, maybe 5-10 minutes of just idling, put the cap back on. Don't forget to put the cap back on. And just monitor it. Monitor for leaks while you drive through your day-to-day routine. Keep an eye on that coolant level. Make sure like you don't have an internal leak. And then, because I got to figure out where all that coolant went. When I changed the radiator, I filled it up. I didn't have any issues till the car went in the shop. Who knows what they did to it in the shop. Fucking goons in the shop. But anyway, now the heat is coming real nice and strong now. You know? I'm going to test the heat. I'm going to go back and forth between the AC and the heat, just to make sure, because I had an issue with the AC before. Now to just kick the compressor on. We'll keep my foot on the gas. Yep, more hot air is coming when I rev it up. Now I'm gonna lower the temperature just to see. Air better get real cold again. All right, it's getting cold. AC is doing its job now. Yep. It's not overheating either. That's the indicator for the engine temperature. Before it was overheating like crazy. Now it's not overheating. I feel the AC. Let me check the back row. Heat's still on back there, good. Just turn the AC on in the back. I'm feeling to see if the AC kicks in. Another thing that was weird was the heat was intermittent. So sometimes I would get heat, sometimes I won't. That was, it was so weird. Sometimes I will get nice heat, sometimes I won't. Sometimes it'll be stuck on AC, sometimes it'll be stuck on heat. So I thought it was something with the actuator, the blend door. So now everything seems to be working the way it should. We'll put the heat back up here. Final test. Turn it all the way back up to heat. You hear the blend door kicking over. Instant heat. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I think we're good. Now all I have to do is check, make sure there's no leaks again, and then see how much more coolant went through the system and see if I gotta top it off again. But this makes a lot of sense as to what I was experiencing. I was getting a weird smell in here too. But yeah, there we have it. All right, I'm gonna holler at y'all.